Do you know what's actually working on your website? If you make a change, like you change a color button, or you're changing the theme, or maybe you've worked on the menu somehow, or maybe you've added a new graphic or a new PDF or something, how do you know that those changes or those updates to your website are actually working? And in this video, I'm going to cover how to actually figure those things out and how to track what's working, what's not working on your website. Hey, my name is Buran and I'm from Bridge 8, and I'm here to talk to you today about the changes that you're making on your website and figuring out whether they are actually working or not. And it's one of the most important things when it comes to web design and also web conversions. Now we'll talk about those two things a little bit separately. So obviously you want to make your website look pretty, you want to make it look professional, you want to make it look clean. Maybe you're very into design and you want to make your website look outstanding. And while that's very important, the other flip side of things is your website actually working as a business tool, right? Is it giving people the information that it needs to be able to help you get business, right? Because ultimately that's what your website should be doing. It should be helping you get business. And so if that's your goal, is to use your website to promote yourself and to win more work, then you need to know what's working and what's not working on your website. So let's say, for example, you change your menu structure just to try to make it easy for people to navigate your website. Now, how do you know if those changes actually work? You make a website, you make a landing page where you're selling a particular product, or maybe you're selling a particular service. And so you've written a bunch of copy, you've added a bunch of images, you've got a button that leads to maybe an order form, or maybe it's a button that people can actually pay on right from there. But how do you know whether it's working? Obviously, if people are making the payments and they're paying for things, or they're maybe booking a phone call with you, or they're sending you a contact email to say, hey, let's work together, that's great. But there's optimization that needs to happen, that you're making certain changes in your website. Maybe it's every day or every week or every month, whatever the case may be, and you need to be able to track whether those things are working or not. And so that's the topic of this video. So what we want to do actually is increase sales and increase maybe opt-ins if you're collecting email addresses. Now, how do you do that? So number one, you can use tracking software. So Google Analytics has got a lot of built-in functionality that can help you figure out what the bounce rate is. Bounce rate is when people are coming to your website, leaving from the same page, and what the percentage of those people are that are leaving your website. So if you've got 1,000 people visiting your website or a particular landing page, if 70% of those people are staying and 30% are leaving, then your bounce rate would be 30%. Now, bear in mind, bounce rate is on the same page. Exit rate, so things that people are exiting from a specific page. They've gone to one page already, click through to a second page, and then exiting from that page. And so your exit rate is also important because it tells you how many people have landed on the page from a previous page and then leaving. So those are two metrics, very simple, very easy to understand. And while it's not as clear as to whether changing a color on a button is affecting that bounce rate or exit rate, it may be an indication of what's going on. It's not as accurate, but it could be something to look at. Now, there are tools. So for example, Crazy Egg and Hotjar. Hotjar and Crazy Egg both have heat map functionality, which basically tells you what people are clicking on your website. So it'll give you a full graphic as to what people are clicking on when they land on the site or when they land on the page. And then also it gives you a scroll map. Now what the scroll map does is it shows you basically what areas of your page are actually a hot area, hot or cold, right? Works on a temperature setting, temperature rating. So where people are spending more time and where they're focusing their attention is where it'll be warmer, and then where they're ignoring the content, they're not looking at it as much, that's where it's colder. And so those areas will show you what people are looking at, what they're not looking at. So if you've got say a landing page with a hero image, and then you've got the fold, which is where the screen ends on people's devices, and then you've got a bunch of copy and then maybe a call to action, and the copy is all blue, but the call to action may be like orange, then people are not reading that copy. And so maybe you need to change that, change the design element, maybe change the copy itself, maybe bold a couple items, maybe add a headline. And so you can start working on and testing those things. Now, let's talk about testing. So how do you test two things? Because you've got maybe a benchmark, you've got a current landing page, and now you want to make a change, but you don't know if this change is actually going to work or not. So you benchmark that against the second page. So Google Analytics with Google Optimize has got a split testing feature, which actually allows you to drive traffic to two different pages at the same time. So let's say 1,000 people visit your link. Google Analytics with Google Optimize will actually split that traffic depending on how you want to split that traffic. If it's 50-50, it'll go 500 people to the one page, 500 people to the other page. And based on the goals that you've set for that split test, it'll give you an indication as to what people are doing. So if you've got an opt-in page and you send half the traffic to two pages, then how many opt-ins are you getting from page A versus page B? And that'll help you figure out what changes you've made, or what changes have worked for the things that you want to do. And in terms of the goal, what's getting you the most bang for your change, I guess. So that's the thing. So, obviously we want to split test things as much as possible, but at the same time, split testing does take time. You need a lot of traffic to your landing pages to be able to get an accurate assessment as to what's working and what's not working. There are other tools to do split testing, and you can do a Google search. Now, one of the most important things when it comes to split testing is to make one change or one or two changes. I recommend one change and then split test that change. Now, obviously, when it comes to split testing, I would say that the most important thing to split test is actually copy, right? Your messaging. What is your button text? What is the headline text? What is the subheading text? And what is the paragraph text that you've got in each of the elements? Design, I would say design is probably a second tier thing. Obviously, if your website completely sucks from a design point of view, then update the design, but also update your messaging. Split test things one at a time, get the outcome of what that split test is, and then work on other things. Obviously, you can split test multiple pages at the same time, and because Google Optimize is free, you can do as many pages as you want. But keep a track of what you're doing, and keep a track of what's working and what's not working. I would suggest having maybe a spreadsheet or a document that you've made a certain change on XYZ date, and that change was implemented for maybe a month, and then what the outcome is of that change. And when that test ends, you document the results, you figure out what the next step is going to be, make that change, implement the testing, etc., etc. So it's a long-term process. It's a thing that happens over time. But again, if you're running lots of traffic, you've got lots of traffic to a landing page, some of those tests could happen in a day or 2 days or maybe a week, and that'll help you figure out what's working and what's not working. So I hope that this video is helpful. Please do subscribe to the channel. If you like the video, give it a like. I will be giving you more updates on these things, and definitely in the comments, let me know what you want to learn about and what you have questions about when it comes to digital marketing. So we'll chat to you soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.